Hey everybody, it's Jason Bly here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I woke up to a pleasant surprise this morning. Someone has linked me a video of Eric Bugenhagen, who you guys know is one of the very few fitness YouTubers who I actually like, who I actually get along with, who I don't think is a complete jackass. I actually like Eric. I've actually said a lot of kind things about him as someone else out there who I actually respect. I know he had been doing a lot of wrestling work and that he was trying to get into the WWE. I didn't know the full details of it, but apparently he did his debut and they interviewed him. I'm going to flip the interview in here for you guys to check out.
Wow, Eric Bugenhagen.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what a performance tonight. Despite you were defeated by Drew Gulak, but from the moment you entered Full Sail, you had NXT Universe on your feet. I mean, what was that like?
Well, I had the adrenaline flowing through me, right? The stakes were high, and I looked at it the same way I did when I was a front man in my band in high school, right? It's all or nothing. You go out there, you got your six string, you got your microphone in front of you, and it's time to rock! I brought that intensity right into the ring.
You did. Okay, so you have talent, vocals, sound fantastic.
Six string,
yeah,
bass,
yeah. So I was gonna say, and the dance moves.
Yeah, dance.
But in the ring, you were defeated tonight. So how are you gonna, change that and become successful?
Well, I'm gonna stick with the same game plan I've been doing my whole life. The same game plan that made me a folk style, freestyle, Greco-Roman state champion. The same game plan I took to the University of Wisconsin where I was an All-American. And the same game plan that I utilized to get right here in WWE. Nothing's gonna change. I'm gonna keep the intensity, I'm gonna keep the adrenaline, and the euphoria is gonna stay high as the sky.
Alright, so let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That came out of nowhere. Did he even announce anything? I don't think that he did. Now, what I will say, I didn't particularly necessarily like the interview. It didn't feel quite as natural as what a lot of his stuff is that he does on camera. Just the way he comes across live. But by that same token, he had also just done a wrestling match. I'm sure the guy was tired. I'm sure he was hyped up. And, that's to be expected. But all things considered, he's in there. I mean, he's made his debut. He's made his debut. And I think that's a good thing for fitness out there. And the reason I say that is that he is a guy who actually trains really hard, puts a tremendous focus on big, heavy barbell movements, right? He puts a focus on heavy barbell movements, weighted bodyweight exercises, all the stuff that I tell you guys that you need to be doing if you want to reach maximum jackitude, all right? That's what I tell you guys, that all these silly cables and fluff and pump and everything else only work if you use an enormous amount of drugs. That for the majority of you out there, you need to build your base on other stuff, on these big movements. Well, that's pretty much almost all Eric does. And is anyone out there going to claim that he's not jacked? The guy is incredibly jacked. The guy's monstrously big. I mean, compared to average gym goer, or even compared to modest steroid users, he not as big as these bodybuilders, but look at what they're putting into their bodies. All right, these guys abuse drugs to the point to where when you watch the way they train, if you understand training, everyone out there knows no one would actually get big doing the silly shit that they do. In fact, most of their followers who replicate their workouts are tiny. They look like they don't even lift. They're tiny, sucked up little pieces of shit because they do lazy-ass bodybuilder training. Eric actually trains hard. The guy's strong. He's done powerlifting meets. He's been a wrestler. Was a scholarship wrestler all through college. He has a background in exercise science. He's done his fair share of coaching. And the guy understands the value of strength. The guy understands the value of strength. He's one of those guys telling you, if you want to get really jacked, you should probably get your bench press up to 400 pounds or close to. If you want to get incredibly jacked, you probably need to deadlift 600 pounds, and he does. The guy squats over 500 pounds. He's a legitimately strong guy who understands the merit of these things. He promotes these things. He promotes the basics. He tells you guys that you're going to have to eat. Yeah, he's lean, but he doesn't actually eat a low-calorie diet. This is a guy who, when he has to, he frequently and most of the time is drinking a gallon of whole milk every day. And a lot of people would look at that and go, oh, that's crazy. But when your energy needs are that high and you have a lot of muscle and you train hard and you want to keep making gains, you're going to have to get calories in. You need protein. You need calcium. You need magnesium. You need these things to maximize performance, recovery, muscle growth. You have to have these things. You have to have calories. And he eats in a way that allows him to get that. And that's the interesting point. He does promote that sort of stuff. And he's not out here telling guys this silly stuff like, oh, you need to eat chicken and brown rice 3 times a day or 6 times a day. Oh, you need to do this cable press down and focus on squeezing at the bottom. And all this other silly, goofy-ass bodybuilder shit. He actually eats. He eats like a man. He trains hard. He trains heavy as hell. He does the things that you have to do to get there. He does the way you have to do things to get there, unless you're going to use drugs is the protocol through which you gain muscle. You have to do stuff like he does. And he's been doing it for years and years now. And I love that he does focus a lot of times on specializing on specific lifts, and he will put his all into getting as strong as possible on these big exercises. He gets as strong as possible. And that is what you have to do to get big. That's what you have to do. The evidence for that is overwhelming. You cannot separate size and strength unless you use drugs to separate them. That's the only way it can be done. You got guys like Eric who are out here demonstrating how to train. And I'm not saying the way that he trains is the way you guys should be training. He gives you guys the template saying, hey, you should probably do this for the first 5 years instead of what I do now to build your base. And the information he puts out on that, if you guys have actually gone and watched it, is actually really, really good. When he did a whole series, like a 5-part series discussing all that a couple years back, I watched it and I'm like, yeah, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. This is good advice. It was golden. It was golden. I hate to say that. I'm taking business away from myself, probably taking money out of my own pocket by saying that, because a lot of noobs could go watch that and get most of what they need. But I don't necessarily cater to just noobs, do I? But, if the person is a novice and they look at what he kind of recommended and use that as guidelines, I think they would do really, really well in building a base. Putting that first 15 to 20 pounds of muscle on, I think he's got some golden advice for that. So that's what I like. He demonstrates all this stuff that I try to tell you guys. This is how you have to do it. This is what you need to be reaching for if you want to reach your maximum size, your maximum strength. Because, really, you can't separate the two. And I think he's a perfect example of that. I think he's a great example of that. And I like using him as an example of that because he walks the walk. He doesn't just talk the talk. And again, he brings an intensity to it. And he's got a showmanship to it that I think people enjoy. And I think it makes a lot of people want to follow his advice on the training, because he's a great showman too. And I think he'll do really well in the WWE. I'm actually happy to see that. Happy to see that someone I actually like out there just achieve something like that, right? I'm happy to see that. So congrats, Eric. And I wish you nothing but success in this endeavor. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.